Hello everyone and welcome back for another Trinity Stamps video. This is Cassie. Today we are going to be making an A7 card and we're going to be using the Christmas Cowlers. Everybody seems to love it. I love it. I know y'all love it. So here it is, and there is the matching die. We're also going to be pulling in the big Snowflake cut and foil, but we're only going to be using one of the dies. That's the great versatility of this die set. We're going to be using this die right there, and I'm going to die cut out several of the little snowflakes to put on a background. You'll notice I also have some Yupo paper, and I do have the silver alloy and some blending solution, and so we're going to be starting with that. So I'll pull out my 5x7 piece of silver alloy, and I'm going to shake up that silver alloy really well. I'm going to start by taking my blending solution and actually being pretty liberal with putting that on there. I have a certain idea in my head of how I want this to go, so I'll put a couple drops of that down. This tool that I'm using is actually a hair tool. It's the Conair hair air curling brush. So it's not putting out any heat because I didn't put the curling part on it, and so I have it on low and it's just blowing that around. This tool is amazing. I love it. But it does dry things pretty quickly, so I have to keep coming in with that blending solution, which is fun because that's part of the process here, is kind of working it and getting it to move around and see what you want it to do. And you're always going to get something a little bit different. So just if you plan to do something like this, especially with the alloys, make sure you have plenty of blending solution and be ready to have fun. I've done this before a few times with colors, and the wispiness that you get is really quite incredible. Notice with the alloys, because actually this is the first time I've just played with one alloy or one color in particular in the blending solution and this tool, and I have to say I'm super pleased with how that is coming out. Again, you just have to keep coming in with that blending solution, and a little bit of that alloy goes a long way, so also keep that in mind as well. I've probably used a little too much of it, but I really am loving that look. I like that there's some white space. I like that I just used silver. I think that that was a good call, especially because this is the background. Like, I'm going to be doing more to this. So there it is. Super happy with that. I will have to let that sit off to the side to dry, but I do love how there's so much movement, really. Now in my MISTI I have some Express It cardstock, and I've brought in our little Christmas Cowlers, and I'm inking those up with some Blackout ink by Ink on 3. I'll stamp that down, and didn't get great coverage the first time, so I'll do it again. That's the beauty of the MISTI. So I'll stamp that down again, and then we'll pull that out and we'll get ready to start coloring. I'm going to put all the colors up on the screen, but this is kind of the fun part. You could color these cows just about however you really wanted to. I'm sticking with sort of traditional cows, I guess, but I've colored these differently both times that I've colored them. And I imagine, I mean, heck, you could even do completely different colors, like color them red, color them green. I think you could have a lot of fun with this. Like, they've painted themselves up to go out and do some Christmas caroling. I just love the play on words, and the puns in this set are amazing. Yeah. And a lot of you have said how much you really like this set, so I knew I had to play with this one right away. All right, bringing in that lighter color. You'll notice, if you've never watched me before, you'll notice that I tend to go light to dark, which is what I've done here. I did my lightest color, came in with the dark, and then brought in that lighter color one more time to blend it out. I don't always blend it out, but oftentimes I will. So I'm coloring his mouth and his hooves and his hair, all with those browns. And then for the other cow, I'm going to color him with the blacks and the whites. So we're using the C's again, and we've started with our C6, and we'll come in with that C8 again, just like we did for the first cow. But yeah, think about the possibilities. Like I said, I colored these different last time as well. It doesn't just have to be your traditional cow colors. Then, like I said, bringing in that C8, and then I will blend this out a little bit, because otherwise it just looks like he's a little bit tired there. And then I'll bring in some E93. I didn't put that up on the screen, but I bring in E93 and YR02 and blend those out. It's a nice little fleshy color for their noses. Bring in some C3 and blend that out with some C1 just for some shadowing. And then for our other little cow, we're going to use these browns. So we'll start with the E25. And then our darker shade is the E29. Again, lightest color. And I grew up in Nebraska, so a lot of my friends were farmers, had cows. In fact, our high school had a farm, or a cow farm, like right next to it. Everybody just loved coming there for track. Can you imagine? Anyway, we always said it was the smell of money. All right, now coming in with that lighter color and blending that out again. It's so funny how when you put down your darker shade on top of that lighter shade, how sometimes it can just look like a hot mess until you come in and do a little bit of blending. And then I will use those same colors, the E93, for his snout. I guess it's not really a snout, his mouth, his nose. And then we'll bring in those C's for his hooves and his hair. Blend that out a little bit. And then we're going to move on to coloring their hats and their scarves. So I decided that for those, because I had blue in the background and silver, I just wanted to bring in some red. I didn't want to bring in too much, like go with reds and greens. I just thought red would be a really pretty color to add to that blue for the background. And that blue that I'm talking about is the Snowflake that I showed you in the beginning of the video. So like I said, I cut out several of those. Now I'll bring in a little bit darker red, and I'm not going to do a whole lot of blending this out. I kind of like a little bit of the harshness to that red. So it was R24, and then this is R46. Now I'm going to tack down the matching die that you can get with this set. Run that through my die cutting machine, and then I'm going to start placing those snowflakes on there to see how I want them. I only had enough of that glitter paper to cut out 2 full ones, and then I had to cut out 2 half ones. So I'm going to be creative with this, and you'll see what I'm talking about. I'll put this one down, and I do like for some of those snowflakes to come off the edge, because that just gives the idea that there's more going on outside of our card. I'll put this down, and I'm going to cut off that excess, and we're going to use it up in the upper corner. So this is what I was talking about by being a little bit creative with what we have. Sometimes you don't need the full snowflake. So I'll make sure I've got that down. Just using some reverse tweezers to hold these. And then I can pop this next one down up in the upper corner. And then I'll glue down this big one in the middle. And I was just trying to put the glue in the prominent areas where I thought it might stick up or get caught. And then this one as well. And then obviously we have plenty hanging off of the edges. We're just going to cut that off with our scissors. And then it really just comes to life. That background with our snowflakes. And then we'll attach down our cowlers, which we're going to do with some foam tape. So I put some foam tape on the back of that, and then I'll just pop this down sort of in the middle. The sentiment also has foam tape on the back of it, so I'll put that down on the front. And as I said, this is an A7 or a 5x7 card, so I have a card base all ready to go. So I'm going to glue this down to the front of our card. And then on the inside, we do have to do a little something because you know me. So I'm going to bring out the Cowler stamp again and ink that up with some Peacock Blue by Ink on 3. Stamp that down, and then I'll just take the and a Happy Moo Year and put that on the inside with a little bit of liquid glue. I couldn't stop there. I did need to bring in some embellishments. So I've brought in the Ruby Radiance gems, which are so gorgeous, and add it with that blue. We've got the pops of red from the hats and the scarves. It just has me going all pitter patter, just using my pickup stick and my liquid glue to adhere those down. And then once those are down, you guessed it, that will finish off our card for today. I love it. I hope you love it. And if you did, please hit that like button and definitely consider subscribing if you haven't already done so. And be sure to check out all that Trinity Stamps has going on over at Facebook, Instagram, over on the blog. We're everywhere. All right. I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you soon. Bye.